among my colleagues, I was considered to be a dynamic person because we were given a lot of hard drills to do as soldiers. But even when my colleagues were losing hope and when they were thinking that they could not do one particular drill, I was always there to motivate them. And we always did everything together. So I was called a dynamic leader. And I was born in a very poor, very ordinary family. And my dad even didn't have a proper job. So we sometimes had to work in fields, sometimes we had to work as postmen, all those sort of odd jobs. So I was born in a working class environment. And I can also call myself a revolutionist because I've been a part of two revolutions. One revolution is that even low-key people can get into the Indian Army. And another revolution is that even riflemen can do something for the country. Because in 1962, 17th November 1962, that's when I died for my country. What happened was thousands of Chinese soldiers were approaching a place called Muranang in Arunachal Pradesh. And I was stationed there along with my men, the infantry basically. So we used elephants back then. So we had an infantry unit guarding the coast of Muranang. But then there were thousands of Chinese people, Chinese soldiers who were trying to attack us. And to your disbelief, everyone left. I was single-handedly there. Everyone left me behind. They even called me to come with them, but I refused because Muranang is our land. Why should we, if someone comes into your home, will you leave them? Like, will you let them inside? No, right? So I had no intention of leaving the Chinese inside my home, Muranang, which is a part of India. So I stood there, and Chinese people didn't know the amount of soldiers who were remaining. I made them feel that there were thousands of soldiers here by firing at 3 different bunkers using 2 porters, basically 2 porter women who were passing by. I just asked for some help, and then I fired from 3 different bunkers, which made them feel like there were thousands of people behind, and that broke their morale down. And I was able to hold them off for 72 hours for 3 days without any food, without any water, and I killed more than 300 Chinese soldiers. So that's the biggest achievement that I've done in my career so far. And all of us love movies. In Indian movies, it's very normal. The hero comes and dashes hundreds of guys, kills them, and goes away. But I'm very happy that I've done it in real life. So that's a small introduction.
That was a real introduction about your capitalized efforts on the Chinese, because history speaks very loud about your Chinese confrontation, and we all have read about you, and we are very happy to have you back on the timeline. My question is, you were not given a proper deserving respect when you were specifically, when you were supposed to be promoted as Field Marshal way back in 1960s. And those days becoming Field Marshal from being a Lieutenant Colonel had been very much easy, and government was not really very much putting strict infringements. So with your talent and with the kind of a strong head on your shoulders, you could have been a Field Marshal. Big time, in 1957 itself, 1953 or 1954 itself. I'm not very much particular about the time, but I would like to say that 5 or 7 years ahead of your death, you could have been the Field Marshal. What stopped you from becoming that, and how did it lay a heavy impact on your self-esteem?
Sir, I personally believe that I've been working very hard for the army. So I think I wasn't given proper recognition, but I don't regret that because I used to come to the army by cycle or by walk because I didn't have money to afford anything else. I didn't have some.
And on that, you were one among the few cadets in the army force who got brutally trained when you were an apprentice.
Yes.
So there was a racism against you also.
Yes.
So I want you to club that also in your answer.
Yes, sir. So actually I don't want to say this, but what happened was my higher officials sometimes they laughed with me, saying that I wasn't good enough to be in the army, and like our work conditions were very poor. Like we weren't given proper ammunition, and I have to admit I was defeated. But I don't regret that because only because I was a rifleman, I was able to be there up front and confront the Chinese soldiers. If I hadn't been a rifleman, then I would have let the riflemen to go in front of me and I would have been behind. So I'm very happy that finally I was able to do something for my country. So I don't regret it.
And being a rifleman, you need to have a strong rib cage. That's what is the ergonomical expectation for a rifleman, because you have to go, fall down, jump away and fall down on the ground to shoot the enemy. when the historical 300 Chinese massacre happened from your side, that's what your followers are actually saying. You were fractured in your right rib cage, right? And you are not able to stand. And your family members have been talking a lot about that particular injury, because you are a man of injuries, but that particular injury had a heavy toll on that. But with the kind of that injury, you saved our nation by killing 300 Chinese soldiers. But your family right now is not in a good shape. Although you are back in the timeline, your family is not in good shape, and it was not in the proper hands of the government portfolio, governance system. What's your feeling about that as a soldier?
Sir, I don't care about.
தெரியுமா அவருடைய ஃபேமிலி வந்து இப்போ பெருசாக தான் வந்துட்டு மெரிட் பண்ண போகிறது, பெருசாக ஆர்டினரி சப்ஸ்டாண்டர்ட் லைஃப் தான் வாழ்ந்துட்டு. தேங்க்ஸ் டு இந்தியன்.
Sir, many great leaders have said that doesn't matter what the country does for you, only matters what you do for the country. So I was born here. This is my motherland, and I had a huge loan to repay my country.
Yes.
So that's what I did. And for 3 days without food and water, I was struggling there. And those 72 hours were the most difficult time in my life. I just had to, whenever I felt like I was going down, I was just keeping on motivating myself. Just 2 hours, the reinforcements will come. 4 hours, the reinforcements will come. But it took almost 72 hours for the reinforcements to come. But by the time they came, I wasn't alive. But I'm happy that I was able to hold them back for so long. And as for my family, yeah, I do believe that, I do wish that they were living in a better condition. But I don't regret anything now. I'm just happy that I did my job. I don't want any recognition. I don't work for it.
I answer that.
So, sir, right, you used at 1962, 17 now, you mentioned the day of independence, and that by that time the Indian Army was not as
effective and equipped.
yes, as it is today, sir. But even though it has the far more technological advancements have been made, the same thing is happening, sir. Because you mentioned that your family was not repaid enough for your sacrifice, sir, and we all commend you for that, sir. And what even now still. Soldiers are being ill-treated, ill-compensated, their families are being forgotten, crowded upon by the society. What does that make you, how does that make you feel, and what would you do about it?
Sir, as I said earlier, I don't work for recognition, but I do feel for all the soldiers, not only for my family. I just feel for the family of each and every soldier, because in other countries, soldiers are respected much better than in India. I do feel like that, it's my observation. So it would have been much better if the soldiers get recognition, because we give recognition to software engineers who just start with the computer. I don't ill-treat or I don't want to condemn their occupation. It's really good too. But I just feel that you have to praise people who are upfront and they are spending sleepless nights so that you can sleep peacefully. So I just want the Indian government to give a bit more respect to all the soldiers. That's what.
Keertana and Vedavashan have got a collective question. Keertana.
So in 1955, Indo-China Treaty was signed between Jawaharlal Nehru was a Prime Minister of the time, and it was signed by with Chinese. I can't remember the name. But in that situation, you were a Prime Minister, the Prime Minister of the India. What you will take? They found a Panchal.
Yeah. Panchi.
In that situation, if you are being a Prime Minister of India, what you will do?
The Panchal was a very important treaty according to me. Like both the countries want to interfere in each other's internal matters and all sort of things, because that was when the non-alignment movement was going on. Like India wasn't ready to align with either US or USSR back then. So I think it was very important, but even if I was the Prime Minister, I wouldn't have signed the treaty, because China was a growing power back then and now it's a very developed country. So I think mutual peace between the neighbors is always a good thing. So I really appreciate it. I would have done this.
15 marks for your question and 15 marks for your question. That was very nice. Vedavashan, you can finish up, and then I'll come back to Vidra. Wait. Aditya's screen is very clear.
Sir, very proud to ask you questions and just talk to you, sir. And I have a question to just ask about your mental strength, sir. Sir, in that situation, 72 hours without good sleep, without good water and food, no one can keep them very strong mentally, sir. But you kept yourself very strong at that time by only focusing on the mission but not anything else. And as Kirtnaka mentioned, in that situation, sir, if some other person was there, I think definitely they can't withstand the pressure, sir. So how did you do, and what is your advice for the normal people, sir, to just handle that type of situation?
15 months ago.
Thank you.
Great question, sir. But I won't say that I'm the only person who could have done that, because if you have passion and love for your country, then anything is possible.
Yeah.
So I don't, sir, I kind of disagree with you, because I don't feel that even if any patriotic person was in my place, he would have done the same thing. And it's not about the technical terms of war, it's not about the amount of ammunition or the guns you have, it's about the passion and the desire you have to continue and fight the enemy. I just thought of my country while I was fighting. I thought of nothing else. I didn't think about my family, I didn't think about my friends, I didn't think about anything else. I just thought about my country, and I just wanted to fight as long as I had my life held in my hand.
To add, sir, you said that you didn't think of your family, sir, but they have complete trust on you. That is also your responsibility. Like you're having some responsibility on Mother India. You also had some responsibility on your family who had complete trust on you, sir. What type of answer you will give to the family, sir?
Sir, actually, when I was young, I used to like doing march past, sir, but I didn't have money. My dad didn't have money to buy me the proper kit, the proper uniform, all that stuff. So I just thought that I would buy him, and he didn't even have a proper cycle to go for work. So I just wanted to buy him a cycle with my first salary. Unfortunately, when I bought the cycle, like 2 or 3 thieves, they just ran away with the cycle and my money. So I could have done much better for my family, I believe. But I already asked permission from my mom and dad, and they were very happy that I was going to serve my country. And I don't think they have any problem, because I have laid down my life for my country. And
Thank you, sir.
So we'll do a question harvesting just like we did for Mitra. Whoever asks question, because your question might be valuable, so you might earn very good number of points for your teams. So Aditya, yours will be the last question that he is answering individually, and then we'll have collective questioning just like we did for Mitra, and then you give one collective answer, because we are already running short of time. So team Aditya,
So first of all, we thank you for your
5 more marks for you.
Okay.
So 20 marks for you.
Thank you, sir.
first of all we thank you, sir, for your all your contributions. So you said like you were among 2 revolutions that took place during that time. So were you just a teenager, or you had already been a soldier during those revolutions?
sir, when I was young, sir, basically,
So
like,
you were
yes, sir.
you were a teenager.
Yes, sir. Most probably I was like 12 or 13. Yeah, I was somewhere in the teenage. I was commencing my teenage life back then.
During the revolution, you were 17 years old. 17 years old.
12, sir.
When the first revolution of before you got into the
Yes,
India,
sir.
right?
Yes.
Now that was pretty.
Pretty.
12 or 13.
12 or 13.
So in that revolution, the revolution was based on that poor people going to the army. So what all steps you took in those revolutions, and how did you overcome them?
Sir, back then there was this thought with belief that poor people wouldn't be able to do something for the country. So very proud that I was part of the revolution. So I just wanted to do something for my country, and the idea of me becoming a soldier struck me when I was doing march past really well. My teachers told me that I was very good in march past. So I believed that I will be able to lead a group of men in a war. So that's when the idea of becoming a soldier struck me, and I believed that fighting for the country is the best service that you could do. So that's the reason why I took up the job as a soldier and doing it after the war.
Okay, so that was nice question, 15 marks for you. Now, we will quickly take question harvesting that should frame up all the things in your mind and you can make a corrective answer. Pranav and Kiran, one by one, you quickly shoot your question and Darshan will answer after getting the corrective questions of every single person. Pranav, you go first.
So, pleasure to meet you, sir. What is that makes you that everybody calls you the anger man, angry man?
Okay, thank you, sir. Noted.
Okay, so that's the question.
What makes you call angry?
Angry man.
No, Jasmine Singh was not called angry. Was it?
He feels that
Angry man.
No, Jaswant was never called an angry man. He was known as a very meticulous person. The cycle stealing incident was a very popular one, and even then he kept on having a smile. And history reads that he told his family that he might get a house. If the cycle is gone, I am not worried. I might be getting a house in the future if I work well. So, angry man. What do you mean by angry man? Why did you ask that question?
Sir, no sir, because I heard that in the beginning of the introduction, Lakshmana was with that.
You'll be kicked out of the army if you are unnecessarily angry. I am an unfit because of that one. So, angry man cannot be surviving as a soldier, but that is nice. 10 marks for that. Kiran?
So sir, it's a pleasure to meet you, sir. So my question is that you definitely must have felt a mixed emotions when standing as a one-man army in front of the Chinese army. So what are the emotions you felt and how did you overcome them?
Well, that's a very powerful question. 15 marks for Kiran. Team
Thank you,
Aditya.
sir.
Yeah, next question, Team Aditya, Prabhu Aditya.
So sir, in the battlefield of 72 hours, sir, you were alone, and in that time, how do you face your inner demons?
Thank you so much.
10 marks for that. Inner demon, 15 marks for that.
20 marks.
15.
Team Mitra, Mitra.
Sir, nice to meet you, sir. And we are really proud of you, sir. And you had maybe the biggest achievement in India, sir. I feel that, sir. You are surviving for nearly 70 to 75 years without food or water is going to be the best achievement in India, sir. But some people, sir, don't don't bother talking about it because you have done a big achievement, sir. But do you regret or feel bad because of this, sir, that some people are not feeling like that? But you have done great. You have helped your country a lot in facing the Chinese people. So do you feel anything about it?
Thank you. Nice question.
10 marks for your question, Mitra. Very well done. Now, Kavin Raj from Team Vishnupriya.
So, sir, what is the difference from you to others?
Oh, okay, thank you.
That's a good question. A very vague but at the same time very powerful question. Plenty of soldiers work for India. Okay. I think we are done.
How much for that, sir?
10 marks. 10 marks. Okay, that should make your question, make your answering as one. Hariran, you have a question? வாயை திறந்து பதில் சொல்லு. எனக்கு பிடிக்காத ஒரு விஷயம் வாயை திறக்காம இந்த ஹெட் நாட்டில் பதில் சொல்றது. அது யாருமே பண்ணாதீங்க. வாயை திறந்து ஒழுங்கா பதில் சொல்லுங்க.
Okay.
Right. That should make one answer and we are finishing.
Yeah, emotion and inner demon.
Okay.
Actually, when I saw the thousands of Chinese people approaching India, and when I saw that my own colleagues